I started my research 10 years ago. I was working with innovation companies and future talking, and I was missing a piece for me. It was like human connection and love. If I'm going through that, probably I'm not the only one. Straight to the point, like very straight to the point. And in Brazil, we are more like, we don't. But in Brazil, used to say that it's impossible to love yourself if you don't have love. Have you ever heard about Humberto Maturana?
I have not.
Yeah, he's from Chile. He's like the best.
Marcelle,
Yes.
welcome to the Expert Speaker Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
And you are an expert in love
Yes.
in Brazil,
Yes.
which is known for its big passion, right?
Yes.
I've never been to Brazil, but I would love to go.
Yeah, you have to go.
Okay, how did you become an expert in love?
Yes, I started my research 10 years ago. And the first thing for me was like I was working with innovation companies and future talking, and I was missing a piece for me. It was like human connection and love. So for me, it was like, okay, how can we really have a future if we don't even have human connection? So this was the first intellectual reason that I got into love. And of course, I have like a lot of personal reasons as well, that some things that were happening in my own life, like lack of connection, lack of community, lack of good relationships. And I was like, okay, if I'm going through that, probably I'm not the only one. And also, how can we really understand deeply, how can we really have good connections, and how can we create community? So this was like the first spark for me. And the first thing for me was I started looking for experts in different areas. So it's funny, I was not going just to love experts, I was going to economy experts, and I was trying to understand how this new economy geeks are trying to, what they are researching are related with love. So I was trying to go through different areas. And at some point, I decided to quit my job, and I went to Schumacher College. Have you ever heard about
Schumacher?
Schumacher College?
I don't think so. What was your job that you quit?
I worked with social communications. So at this point of my life, I was a manager, like a communication, a marketing manager of a company.
Yeah.
And the company worked with innovation. So I was like,
Yeah.
I had a lot of startups, and it was like, yeah, like that.
Okay. So you went to Schumacher College.
Yes, Schumacher College. Schumacher College is a college in UK, and they have like this ecological perspective, regenerative perspective, and yeah, they had this course. The name is Transition Design, and I was like, okay, I'm into design, I'm into transition, let's do it. So I went there, and I stayed in Europe for 6 months. And at this point, the Schumacher College is in a small town named Dartington. And Totnes is a very close city, like you can go like 30 minutes walk. And in Totnes, they had a project named Transition Town. So basically what they are trying to do is to address global problems by communities. So I was in love with this project, and I was traveling Europe, and I was looking for this, because this project is now in more than 2,000 cities. So once I was in Athens, I was looking for transition projects there, in Barcelona and everything. So I fell in love with communities at this point. And yeah, and then I started talking with a lot of people. So now it's like more than 150 people that I've talked, and more than 100 books that I read. And once I got back to Brazil, I started studying facilitation and trying to understand how can I create a love in a group, how we can like create the right environment for people to have connection. So yeah.
So you're learning about communities, you're learning about connection, and you went to UK.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, I've never been to Brazil. I have been to UK, and I heard once that there was a study done on how many times in an hour on average do people touch each other? And I forget which one's the highest. Maybe like Italian, they're touching each other all the time, you know.
Uh-huh.
And UK was 0.
Uh-huh.
And I just wonder, like, could you feel a difference in how people connect, particularly touch or maybe flirting, between UK and Brazil?
Definitely, definitely. I was single at
Yeah.
this point, so
Yeah.
yeah, I could have some research on this area as well. And yeah, it's very different in a lot of aspects, a lot of ways. So not just in the UK, but in another countries I've been in Europe, I think people are more straight to the point, like very straight to the point. And in Brazil, we are more like we don't say what we have to say, and we are more gentle in a way
Okay.
of having connection. And yeah, and also like the touch. Like in Brazil, it's definitely not gonna happen a first date without a kiss. This doesn't make any sense if you don't kiss in the first date, or actually if you don't kiss in the first, I don't know, 30 minutes. This is not a date. Yeah,
Okay.
usually it's very fast how
Yeah.
things go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a friend living in Austin, Texas. She matched with a Brazilian guy on Tinder.
Uh-huh.
They saw each other from across the street. They walked to each other, and he started kissing her in the middle of the street, just before they said anything. She called me and she said, "Oh my God, I love this
Yeah,
Brazilian guy."
she liked?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yes.
I told her, "Tell me that story again. Did that really happen?"
Yeah, but this was intense.
Yeah, yeah.
This guy is intense.
Okay, so you work with people, relationships, couples, connection, facilitation. What about the self-love? You talk about this a lot? You study this a lot?
No, I don't.
Ah,
I have like a problem with this word. I don't know how is it like in the word, but in Brazil, this word is kind of how can I say? We use that a lot, and it's like losing meaning. And we use that in a very individualist perspective, like you have to self-love. And Bell Hooks, she used to say that it's impossible to love yourself if you don't have love. So basically, we have to talk about self-love in a loving environment, because it's kind of empty if you say like, oh, you have to love yourself. No, you don't love yourself? Oh, if you don't love yourself, you're not gonna find love in the world. That's basically the opposite. Like you're gonna love yourself once you have a loving environment for you. So yeah, and every time I have a podcast and I have an Instagram, and every time that we talk about that on the Instagram, these are the posts that are like the best performance, because people are really feeling that, like, oh, thank God, I don't have to love myself in this individualist perspective. But of course, we have to love ourselves. But for me, it's like, how can we create environments that people flourish, that people feel loved enough to be themselves, and to be their authentic, to show up as they really are. So yeah, I'm very interested in creating this kind of containers.
very good. This is a new concept to me, that we can't love in the absence of others. And I'm the kind of person, I'm very extroverted. I like to make people laugh. I like when people like me, you know. And I've had this thought that, you know, if I'm not with somebody, what do I do? You know, yeah, I like to make people laugh. I like to help people. I like to be helped. And so this gives me a new way to think about this. You know, there's no love without other people.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a different perspective, because, yeah, I've heard a lot of people say you got to really love yourself before you can be dating. And let's talk about love in the workplace.
Yes.
Like if we're developing loving workplaces where we feel safe, we can be authentic, we can really bring our heart to work. Maybe not so much for romance at work, but just being able to love. This is some work that you do, and I'd love to learn, like, how do you work with companies to bring love into work?
Yes. Have you ever heard about Humberto Maturana?
I have not.
Yeah, he's from Chile. He's like the best. Like, I really love him. I had this dream of interviewing him, but he died. He was very old. And I was like, I'm gonna learn Spanish to interview Humberto Maturana. I was like, I'm crazy
Wow.
about him. And he have this love definition that is like one of my favorite definition. And from this definition, I created my own love definition. So for him, love basically is when I love you, I have to translate it in my mind. To love is to see you as a legitimate you. Like you can, in our convenience, something like that. So I have to see that, to say that I love you. It's like I allow you to be you, and I see you as who you are, and not as something I have in my mind, a projection I have in my mind. So this is very beautiful, and I also study a little bit about how Buddhists look love. So I mixed it up. So for me, and I created a word. My institute, the name of my institute is Amuta, and Amuta is basically an invented word that I invented to name what I call love. So for me, to love someone is to see you how you truly are, and as seeing you how you truly are, I enable you to expand yourself, to grow. So yeah, so this is very useful if you think about companies, because you really want people to be their best versions, right? And we are not enable them to be their best versions because we are all the time trying to put people in small boxes.
Yeah.
So this is the first thing, like how we are going to give feedbacks, how we are going to be in a relationship, how we are going to be more appreciative with each other. And there is this woman, she's also a woman that I studied a lot. Her methodology is one of my facilitations method that I use. Her name is Nancy Klein, and her methodology name is Thinking Environment.
Okay.
So for her, it was like, how can we create thinking environments? So if you're a company, you definitely want people to have their best actions. To have their best actions, they need to have their best thoughts. To have their best thoughts, they have to be in a certain environment. So she's researching that for like 20 years or more, and much more because she's also old. And she find out that the way people are being treated when they are thinking is like the best thing for her, for them to have their best thoughts. So yeah, so basically, and when I was studying thinking environment, I was in a course. That's when I found out about Humberto Maturana, because to create a thinking environment is actually to create love. So for people to, and Humberto Maturana says that love is the emotion that makes us smarter, because we are really able to see things clearly. So
love is the emotion that makes us smarter.
yes.
Wow, that's nice.
Yes.
So the theme that I'm hearing about your work is it's allowing people to open up. It's allowing people to be safe and authentic. It's allowing people to be seen and really see each other. And I don't know Brazilian culture, but I can imagine my culture. I live in Canada. I've lived in the United States. I can imagine the corporate environment saying, hey, love is for the home, it's for the bedroom, it's for the kids. This is a serious place, and we're here to get work done. We're living up here. There's no point for this thing in the office. Do you ever get this kind of response when you talk about love in a work setting?
Definitely, yes. There was a time that I was doing a experience in a company, and I love to bring art into the companies, and it was like a artistic presentation, and we talked about connection and love, and they and we usually work with independent artists, so they wanted the lyrics so they could read, and when they found the word love, they were like, okay, you can't use this word. So we had to change the song for the company.
Yeah.
So this happens sometimes. This happens a lot, actually. I'm not always selling to companies like, oh, let's bring love to your company. Usually, I'm more like, oh, team building. Oh, you want
building.
people to feel that they belong. Oh, you want people to feel safe. So high performance. So I'm trying to use these words, and then I use the word love. and it's like a hack that I'm trying to do. But yes, we have a lot of resistance. But I feel that like this is changing. Like my institute is now 5 years, and I've been researching for 10 years now. I don't know if it's because we are getting bigger, but people are accepting this more and more. Like they are actually trying to understand that deeply and understanding that high performance is very connected with human connection and love. Some people.
So, we've covered the work in the office. I know you also work with individuals. You have the institute. You have a online course and community. Tell me about that, and tell me about what are the challenges that they have that they're coming to you to fix, and what are the results that they're seeing after they're taking these courses.
Yeah, I created a methodology. The name is connection design. So that's what I've been teaching basically in my course. And what I'm trying to teach people is like it's not just about changing yourself, it's about changing the environment for others. So I'm always trying to say that to people that are in my course. Of course you're gonna change. Of course you're gonna be a better person in relationships, since we are talking about that a lot here in our community, in our Instagram, in our podcast, etc. But it's not about you. It's about you enabling environments for others. So that's what people are coming for. And like it can be very small. Like sometimes in our community, people say things like, oh, it was my son's birthday and we did something completely different. And oh, I had this meeting with my team and I decided to do things completely different. And that's what happens. Oh, these are the things that are happening. Like in a personal level, of course, they are changing their personal communities, and also they are trying to change their own organizations and in the workplace. But yeah, at some point they will change some things inside of them, of course. So yeah, one of the things that we are changing is the way people are trying to navigate in this very tricky world of relationships.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I'd like to offer you one more idea you want to share, maybe a question I didn't ask you that you'd like our listeners to know, and then I'll ask you my final question, which is how do people contact you and learn from you and take one of your courses or bring you into their office to do this work that you do?
I think that, yeah, one of the things that I would like to add is that it's easier than it looks like, and and at the same time, it's not easy, but it's easier, because I think a lot of people are very apathetic.
Apathetic? Yeah.
Like, oh, there's nothing I can do. I'm not good at relationships. I'm not an extrovert like you. Oh, I give up relationships in whatever area it is, but it's not that hard. Like if you do like small changes, everything changes. Like for example, we had a dinner here. Your name was on the table. You felt special. Someone was right in your side and was like, okay, this person is here. Why is this person here? I'm curious. So it's like small things that really can change the game. And if we can change a meeting, we can change a relationship, and we can change a culture, and we can change the world. So yeah, that's what it is for me.
Yeah. And we're here at Experience House in Guatemala, and we can see all these loving touches, all these, for me, what I feel loved when I think they really considered me. They really thought about what I need and my care, my comfort. And for me in my culture, food and love are like the same thing. This beautiful food and the way they're presenting is so nice.
Yes.
So how do people learn more from you? How can they take your course? How can they hire you to be the facilitator of love in their office, in their work?
Yes. The name of my institute is in Portuguese. It's Instituto Amuta. But yeah, Amuta. And then we have our website, we have our Instagram, and this is the places you can find me.
Marcelle, Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me, really.